When I arrived for my fall color photography trip in Zurich in October of 2024, my Airbnb in Chamonix wasn't available for the first night, so I decided to spend the night in Grindelwald, which was just over 2 hours from Zurich Airport. After several delays due to road closures and the rainy weather, I arrived in Grindelwald and headed to bed early as I was pretty exhausted. I was up at 5:30 the next morning, and it was here that I made one of the biggest mistakes of my trip.
Turn left to stay on Mettenberg.
Taking off for Lauterbrunnen. It's very beautiful up here right now. Nice conditions up here at Grindelwald.
Turn left to stay on Mettenberg, then make a U-turn.
So I'm missing Kala right behind me in my attempt to get to Lauterbrunnen. But that's disappointing. It's right behind me. I might just turn around. I don't know what I'm going to have in Lauterbrunnen, but it looks spectacular behind me. Alright. Calling an audible. Look at this. Look at this. Right behind me. By the time I had turned around, the sky above the entire valley was lit up in bright pink and orange, completely blowing out the footage from my GoPro as I drove. It became immediately apparent that this was the area I should have been shooting all morning. If I had a better forecast to work with and had done some actual scouting in this valley, I would have had the perfect conditions for some epic shots of Grindelwald and the surrounding valley with low clouds and incredible color above. But due to my bad decision making on day one, I came away with only a few shots after the light was gone from that epic morning in Grindelwald. Man. It was difficult to let that lost opportunity roll off my back. It felt like I had already failed and this was only the first day of my trip. But as the morning went on, I found it was impossible to hold on to my bad mood as the area surrounding me was just so incredible. I knew I had a long drive ahead of me after checking out of my Airbnb, but I did manage to spend another hour just exploring the valley and scouting for potential shots before heading to France. My trip to Chamonix and my time in the French Alps is covered in my previous 2 episodes, so if you'd like to check them out, I'll leave links in the description below. While I was staying in Chamonix, I kept an eye on a few locations in Switzerland since I was staying in a town that was right on the border. On October 21st, I finally saw some clearing over Zermatt, and I knew that if I wanted a Matterhorn reflection shot from Riffelsee Lake, I should probably take advantage since that entire area of Switzerland had been buried in clouds for the past 2 weeks. Very sunny today. On my way to Zermatt.
On D243 for 1 kilometer.
I've gone up this way in a long time. It's been over a week. It's very sunny today. So hopefully there's no clouds covering the Matterhorn. I don't think so. Gonna try to get there for sunset. Tasch. 1 kilometer, looking for the Bahnhof, whatever train station thingy. Look at that yellow tree over there. That is lit. Literally. You don't like those clouds. What's with those clouds?
To Zermatt and wishes you a pleasant journey.
If you rent a car during your stay in the Alps, like I did, and wish to visit Zermatt, you should probably be aware that you can't just drive into the village and park. Instead, you need to park in a town north of Zermatt called Tasch, and from Tasch you need to take a train which will drop you off in downtown Zermatt.
Matterhorn vous prie de bien vouloir descendre et vous disent au revoir. We are arriving at Zermatt terminus station. The Matterhorn Gotthardbahn asks you to leave the train and bids you goodbye.
If you are in good shape and wish to hike to locations like Grindelwald, Riffelsee, Rotenboden, or Gornergrat, you should probably plan on a steep climb up to these locations in the morning while it's still cool. But if you're short on time and would rather take a very scenic train ride up to the top, you'll probably want to book a ticket on the Gornergrat Railway, which is located directly across from the Zermatt train station. In my case, I was hoping to get to Riffelsee Lake and managed to get on the last train of the day at around 4 p.m. It's about 8 people on this train because it's the end of the day on a weekday in October. I'm trying to do some math here. It looks like it's going to be 2.5 to 3 hours of walk if I miss the train coming back. So depending on what Riffelsee looks like, I may end up trying to walk back to Zermatt, but I got to be here before midnight because it's when the last train leaves.
Eine angenehme Fahrt. Nächster Halt, Reka Legendär.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Gornergrat Railway welcomes you aboard the train to Grindelwald Riffelalp, Riffelberg, Rotenbode, Gornergrat, and wishes you a pleasant
See, there's
journey.
clouds up
Next
there.
stop,
Since it was so late in the day, I was only going to have about an hour to shoot when I finally made it up to Riffelsee, and if we hit any delays on the way up, I might miss the sunset entirely. I had also caught a glimpse of some clouds up near the Matterhorn, and I was worried that another storm might be moving in and that the mountain might be buried in clouds by the time I got up there. Additionally, the lady at the ticket counter thought that Riffelsee might be frozen since snow had fallen recently in the mountains above Zermatt. I was also a bit bummed that even though this was the last train of the day, it was still 50 euros one way, and I also had to purchase another ticket for 50 euros for the ride down, just in case I got to the top and the views of the Matterhorn were blocked by clouds. Fortunately, the clouds remained off to the side of the Matterhorn, and I still had plenty of time before sunset when I arrived at the Rotenboden train station. As I came around the corner of the train station and Riffelsee came into view, it was definitely not frozen and conditions looked ideal for a great evening of landscape photography. So there's a chance if I play my cards right, I might get the shot I'm after. I'm not sure about sunset light. It's all how much I'm willing to gamble on the walk back. Last train I think is 6:20 something from Rotter. What's it? So and that's if the guy was actually being accurate. So I'm gonna end up walking back. It's a 2.5 hour walk for me, probably like 3. It's all downhill. I think there's gonna be color. I don't think there's that many clouds off to the west. I think these clouds are gonna block it like right underneath, but not above. So unless those clouds suddenly just jump in front of the Matterhorn before color shows up, then I should get a shot. So I think I'm gonna walk. Still lots of people. There's a wedding photographer from Germany, or maybe they're Swiss. There's all the people that are catch the train. I don't think I'm gonna catch the train. I think I'm gonna wait until 7, till there's no more color, and then walk. So I had a choice to bail on this sunset with a perfectly calm lake and color, or hop on the train and avoid a 2.5 hour hike to Zermatt. So for me, this is a no-brainer. The colors are just really starting to warm up in the sky. This could be really nice. I don't think it'll be very long tonight, but it's looking really nice. Just want to say people are so different. I'm looking at this sunset, which doesn't show up that well in this video. It's better in person. But this is just going, hang on, more pictures. This is going off right in front of me. Not a breath of wind on the water. It's so still, perfect. The sky's lighting up. And these people went into their tent for the night. Now. I don't understand. I don't understand who does that. So it's 2.5 hours, according to Google, to walk from here back to the train station in Zermatt, but man, completely worth it. There goes my train. All right, hiking out of here. Nice views of the Matterhorn as I go. So hopefully I'll get down there around 10 o'clock. I checked and I think they said the last train to Tasch station goes at midnight. So I got a little bit of a cushion. It ended up taking 3 hours to hike back down to the Zermatt train station, but waiting for the sunset was definitely one of my better decisions that I made on my trip. I took my time scrambling down the muddy trail in the dark, but the main delay occurred about 40 minutes in as the last light was disappearing in the west. As I looked back toward the Matterhorn, I suddenly remembered that the Tsuchinshan-ATLAS Comet was supposed to be visible in the western sky at sunset. I immediately spotted the comet right next to the Matterhorn and spent another 20 minutes shooting before continuing my hike down the dark trail towards Zermatt. I definitely made it in time and headed back to Chamonix, exhausted but grateful for an amazing night in the Swiss Alps. My last 4 days were spent in the amazing Lauterbrunnen Valley, but that will be covered in my next episode. Before ending this episode, here are a few shots from my incredible night shooting at Riffelsee Lake.